everyone? Zach Childers here with the man, Zach Walker. We are here to do a interview with an expert show. And first off, I just want to say welcome to the channel. If you're in here watching this, either we've posted on Facebook or you're in the website, MadisonCountyREIA.com. You found us here. If not, shoot over there and find us, because we have tons of stuff on there in our resource center, as well as our talk shows, from real estate investing talks to interviews with an expert, with market overview. We have it all in there for you. So I just want to say welcome to the Madison County REIA talk shows. And today's topic is really about interviewing a local expert, really from Athens, that's been doing this quite a while. And I don't want to spill the beans, but we're going to dig into Zach a little bit about how you got started in real estate. What was your first deal? And you've got a deal right now that kind of created a little bit of a headache, and we're going to talk about that.
Sure.
All right.
First of all, expert, a very generous term.
Well,
I appreciate that. I don't get called that often. If my wife's listening, take note. No, I'm just kidding, babe. I love you.
Dishwasher.
I'm learning to be an expert in a lot of things, but real estate expert is something that I think we all. It's one of those pursuits that never ends.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And so you're always an expert because you learn when you learn lessons in this business.
Yep.
They're big ones.
They're big ones. They're costly sometimes.
Well, we call it tuition.
Yeah.
You know, we gotta pay our tuition.
And
so.
I say, look, you're going to learn this business one way or the other.
That's
or
right.
you're going to pay for your education in this business one way or the other.
That's absolutely right.
So, hey, before we get started, let me just take a quick break. I want to introduce you to some of our sponsors. So check out our sponsors.
I've had this problem.
Big problem.
I really needed.
A good real estate broker.
And I kept searching.
And searching.
There are so many choices.
It's really hard to find one that has all the things on my list.
But I finally did it.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you.
If you were looking for one as well,
Look no further.
Here's a really good one.
Just use mine.
Use mine.
I'm very satisfied.
Definitely recommend.
Problem gone.
thank you.
Hey, thanks for taking the time to hear a message from our sponsors. Yes, you saw Revolved Realty on there.
That's right.
So, hey, listen, Zach, I just want to first off let you introduce yourself to everybody and tell them a little bit about what you do, where you're at, and how you're helping the community with your realty business.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Zach Walker. I am the bearded realtor. I founded Revolved Realty about 18 months ago, I guess, and we were out in Athens. We're just in Athens at the time. I'm a realtor in title, but I was a real estate investor first and foremost. So we came to the market with a strategy, or a proposition rather, that was really unique in the way we list and sell properties. Right. We believe that paying 3% to stick a sign in your yard hesitate to say antiquated, but it's
just not necessary.
It's no longer necessary.
No longer necessary.
Because 87.5% of people that buy a house find it on the internet. Right? And so ultimately we want you to keep more of your money in your pocket. And so that was 18 months ago. Now we've grown to 22 agents. We've got 2 locations, one in Athens, one in Madison. We're growing
You are kicking butt.
So we're growing like a weed, and it's just it's a great time to be in the market. We got a lot of luck. Kind of factored
you
in,
guys are everywhere. It seems like everywhere I look, here's Revolve Realty, here's the bearded realtor. It's like you've done an amazing job with branding. You've done an amazing job with outreach.
I appreciate that.
I think you have, because I didn't know you guys 18 months ago, and then all of a sudden it was everywhere, and it was like, who in the world? Where'd this guy come from?
Well, and I have to attribute a lot of that to my managing partner, Tim Knox.
We've had him in here.
Yeah, and so Tim's been on the show, and I actually, what's funny is I saw Tim on Facebook.
Yeah, like you found me.
Like I found you.
Right.
And I reached out to Tim and said, hey Tim, you don't know me from Adam, but I'd like to talk to you. And he goes, actually, I've watched you on Facebook.
Amazing, right?
So it was incredible.
Welcome to Facebook.
It was incredible how those two things happened. But Tim came in and has the background, the knowledge, the branding was already established, but to take it and just trumpet the cause, be the brand
right.
evangelist. There's nobody better.
Right, I agree with that because he is a driver.
Oh, he's so freaking good, man.
He's a driver.
And so we are extremely fortunate to have him as I'm fortunate to have not only as a partner, but as our managing partner. Tim carries a lot of the weight and the load of the company, and it's because of him that you heard of us.
Right, absolutely. I agree with that. Well, not just that, Zach, and it's weird saying Zach. You know?
I know. You feel like
Zach,
you're talking. So, Zach, how are you? It's like, wait a minute, I'm talking to myself.
Am I talking in third person?
That's right.
So, but really what I have to say is I have had the privilege to meet a lot of the people that are hanging their license with you guys. And every one of them talks about Revolved Realty at a different level than most other agents that are with other brokers.
We're really proud of that. Yeah. And so I tell people all the time, and it sounds goofy when I say it, but it really is kind of like a gang when you join our company, because once you get in, like most people don't go, they don't go anywhere because it's a family. We promote that ownership, that level of training, that level. I mean, we have Tim is building a video catalog of training tools,
like a learning center
that can be used by our agents day or night, anytime. You've got a question about how to fill out an estimated closing statement, you go to the video. There's a screen capture video of him actually walking through it with his pretty little face up in the corner, talking you through the steps. I mean, it's all about, for us, it's all about professional growth, learning, training, and then ultimately we put client first, our agent second, and our company third.
Which
and we
is
mean
why
that
you're growing and making money.
Well, and we mean it.
Yeah.
And
here's the reality, man. Like, you can't, and I call it a tribe. You can't create a tribe if the tribe don't like you.
Absolutely.
You can't create a tribe, right?
It's impossible.
And the point of developing anything that has a mission, like with our Madison County RIA, right? Like, we have boards, we have chairs, and we have members. That RIA is not about me. No. It is about the community and the tribe that's created. We get more people that come to our meetings because they say, oh, someone told me to come. Someone told me to come. Someone told me to come. Because that's a culture that you have to develop outside of yourself. It's removing the ego of it, right? Like, it's not about me. It's not about me.
That's the biggest thing, because when this thing started and the Bearded Realtor became a thing, I was uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't about me.
Right.
I wasn't building a personal brand. I was building a company.
Right.
But what it's turned out to be is actually, I've taken my name off most of the Bearded Realtor stuff.
Right.
It's just the Bearded Realtor.
Right.
And it's become this figurehead, if you will, of listing and selling houses and saving money while doing it.
Well,
and so
then it's like, who's the Bearded Realtor? Oh, you don't know Zach?
Well, yeah, that's right. And so, it's, again, I appreciate the words, because my hope has always been that our agents will act as if they own the company as well.
That's a beautiful thing.
And it's happening.
Yeah, and we were talking about. We had a board meeting yesterday with our RIA board, and we were talking about that in there. Is like, look, this is much bigger than us. Right? It's not about the name. It's not about the brand. It's about the outreach, the community, the tribe. And when everybody is seeking the same goal, they don't want to go nowhere. And then what
they
happens,
find a home. That's the thing. It's
so
home.
For example, like my national brand, my REI brand, we have over 50,000 people on our Facebook page. When somebody comes on there and says like, oh, this guy doesn't do real, man, like the tribe comes in, right?
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom.
The army, the Zach Childress army. Right.
And I'm like, that's a community right
That's
there.
right. No, it is. And that's the thing. Like, you think about, my sister or someone in your family, like, if someone says something about, like, it might be true, but that's my sister. And hey, I'm going, only I'm allowed to say that about, and it's
right or wrong.
That family, that protection,
I'm standing up for it.
we have our culture is why we're growing.
Yeah.
I mean, our training is there, certainly. Yep. I mean, we give a lot of tangible benefits that are different and better, but ultimately it's the fact that you can pick up the phone day or night, call me, call Tim, call either of our brokers, call anybody. I mean, and the phone gets answered, and there's that family environment. It's not about competing and cutting throats to make commission checks.
Yeah,
we're giving it away.
Let's work together.
Exactly.
So, talking about that, you're in the process of opening a new location in Athens.
Yeah, so that's
that was the old movie theater, right?
Yeah, it was an old silent movie venue.
I got to walk it.
Called the Dixie Theater.
Looking gorgeous right now.
Internet will be there. That tomorrow at this time, I'll be I'll be on the internet. So the rest of the stuff gets moved tonight, and then we.
I mean, how does that? I mean, like you took over a historical location, revitalized it, and you're now on the square in Athens. That's got to make you feel good.
Yeah, I feel
hard work.
I feel a certain type of way, but no, it's unbelievable, and I mean, at times it's an emotional thing, because you sit there and we've all had dreams, right? And I always envisioned one day as an entrepreneur that I would be in a position to be that guy that I'm not renting the space, it's not a lease, I'm not paying somebody else's mortgage. I would own my space on the square, and my business would be in it.
That's awesome.
And so to see it come to fruition, especially in that old building with all that history and the way that it's been able to be preserved, it will be a really special thing. And,
well, and you got a lot of cool things planned with it, and
yes,
and the Athens RIA is going to be moving into this, not moving in, but having our once a month meeting.
I mean, maybe we can move in. I'm just
that
saying.
was something we talked about last night.
Yeah,
which,
absolutely.
I talked to Keith about it, who is our vice president of the Athens RIA, and he's excited.
Good.
Our event manager Jill, she's excited. So
good deal.
I think that's a great little partnership moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, and our big thing is, you talked about outreach a little bit. Our thing is community. Like, it's about the community. It's not like 100%. Very rarely do you hear me ask people for their business. Yeah. Most of the time, we're educating, we're talking, we're outreaching. I'll use the word educating again because that's the key. But like we're lined up to be the host of this event and this event and this event, because we want that building, that space to be available, to be used, to be honored. The stories, the history. I mean, I leave the door open when I'm working in there just so people will pop in. And I can't tell you how many times someone's come in and told me about their great grandfather, that bought this here, that had this conversation with Doc Gray, and it's just like, man, that's what it's all about.
What was the name of the original building?
So it was the Dixie Theater.
Dixie Theater.
Then it became the IJ Feed Stores in like 29.
The feed store.
And then 34, it became Gray and Holt. And it was Gray and Holt until, well, it still is Gray and Holt, and will always be
Gray and Holt.
Gray and Holt.
Gray and Holt building holding Revolved Realty.
Yeah, it'll be the Gray and Holt Business Center.
I love it. I love it, man. All right, so guys, let's jump over to let's dig a little deeper here into real estate. So Zach, share with us, like, what was it and how old were you, or how far back do we go when you decided that you wanted to go into this world of real estate investing? Because, honestly, you got to be a special type of crazy to want to do real estate investing.
Well, for me, it was a necessity.
Okay.
And so I was really good at telephone sales, whatever, raising money. I was a fundraiser for oil and gas ventures.
I got you.
And so we spent all day on the phone calling,
finding accredited investors.
Yeah, literally all out of a accredited investor phone book, right? It's just literally phone calls all day long.
Kind of like a stockbroker.
Yeah, if you've ever seen Boiler Room, that's exactly it. And so I saw some things in that industry that what's the word? I couldn't agree, like I couldn't get on board with out of principle or ethics or whatever.
Kept you up at night.
Yeah, and so long story short, we had to find something else, and so I found an opportunity in Dallas where I was living at the time. It's probably 8 years ago, doing the same thing on a more personal level in real estate, in private equity real estate. And so over the course of the next 12 months, I built a business. I was managing right at $100 million in private equity money. Oh, wow. And so my first flip was not my flip per se, right? I was managing the process for investors. And so
through the private equity, they would bring the money in, your company would identify the property, and you were a project manager on those projects for those
even higher level. Okay. So we had multiple I was an investor relations guy. Okay. So I found the investors. We had two types of investors. We had the guy that needed to borrow the money, that had the pre-qual for the exit loan, and then we had the guy that with the hard money that was going to lend to this other. So I managed both investors. I managed the process. I oversaw the money, how that all worked. I went and found the money. The company sourced the project, and then we had all the projects were in the south side of Chicago.
Oh. Okay.
And so they were all Section 8s. They were all multifamilies. They were all, I mean, it was a really cool concept because we got to go in and I got to spend a lot of time in Chicago on the ground with investors and to see a single mother in a nice new apartment or duplex or whatever that had a laundry room. Who would have thought that the laundry room would make a woman break down and cry because now this single mother doesn't have to walk down the streets of Chicago at night to do her laundry at the laundromat. And so
which can be dangerous.
Which
you
dangerous.
Guys were really part of more of a economic redevelopment in that area.
Yeah, and I would say that's a fair statement. And so ultimately that led me to a personal desire.
I want to go do it on my own.
To go do it on my own.
So when you went off on your own, was the first thing you did, was it like a wholesale deal, a fix and flip, a rental property?
It was my personal house.
Okay, well, let's talk about it from an investment point of view. Outside of the home you lived in, was the first deal you did on your own, was it a flip?
Flip.
It was a flip.
It's a flip. That's all I've really ever done.
Okay.
I've never wholesaled. I've never done any of that stuff. I'm a flip guy. I love flips.
I love flips too.
I've done a lot of flipping with other people's money.
Yep.
Right.
Yep, I do too.
So it's just, I mean, it's one of those things where you fake it till you make it a little bit, right? You know, and you just
say,
you
hey,
hustle.
I'm gonna go figure this out.
Right. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
One way or the other. I'm gonna do it.
So on that first flip, what did you make? Did you make anything? Did you make a lot? Or?
Yeah, we did. We made about 30.
Oh, that's great.
Now, what was funny about that first flip was, I guess technically, now I'm sitting here talking about it.
I'm making you go back.
No, it ended up being a wholesale on accident. Okay. And so this is a great story. You got my juices going here, and it finally hit me. Oh, that's the flip I'm talking about. So we found this property. It was a pre-foreclosure. The bank had given some time to the lady that owned it. We went in and said, hey, here's what we want to offer. And I think it was like 112 for this house. Okay. And the bank said, nope, it needs to be 124. And we're like, this is ridiculous. Yeah. We're not going to do that. Yeah. They said, well, we'll see at the auction. So we went to the auction and bought it for 78.
I've done that.
Now, but check this out, right of redemption.
Yes.
So that becomes a problem now. Yeah. So I fought that battle for a little while. We won that battle. And then because we entered so much lower than where we were willing to enter,
right,
we had an investor reach out and express interest in buying it at our original price point, which conveniently puts about 30 on the bone.
So
and
you
so
were just, you
we
were able
flipped
to quick
it,
flip the deal. And
never opened the door.
Love it.
Fortunately, because there was a pool that needed to be filled in. There was that house had some problems.
So but you actually closed on it though.
Yes.
So that's actually technically a flip. A wholesale is actually where you're just selling the
signed the contract. Right.
So that would have been technically
it would have been a flip.
Yeah. So it was a flip. You just didn't do anything.
I would love to do that kind of flip
all day long.
Every day.
All day long.
In fact, if anyone out there has that deal, call me.
Or me.
Or me. Or us. We'll do it together. But
you did say something I want to bring up because I know some people watching this are probably like, right of redemption.
That's a good one.
So listen, right of redemption is something that people in foreclosures get depending on the state they're in. Some states have a 30-day right of redemption. Some states have a 0-day right of redemption. But in the state of Alabama, we have a
12-month right of redemption.
12
1 year.
months.
One whole year.
So what is a right of redemption? A right of redemption is?
The bank can come back and pay you what you paid for the property so that they can reattain their asset. Let's say the bank has, in this case, there were 3 mortgages on the property, right? So there were 3 lien holders. There were 3 positions held on this one property, and the total of the 3 liens was $120,000, right? Well, the primary lien holder, being this big bank, well, they're going to get theirs, no matter what. And so basically, they can come back and claim their property by giving you what you paid for it.
What was foreclosed?
At any point within a year. And here's the kicker. If you start renovations on it, they don't have to give you that money.
So new laws have passed on this. So I want to talk
Good to
about,
hear.
Yeah, so I want to talk about this real quick. So, because I had to fight this battle too myself, and what you're talking about is a battle I had to fight with Harrison and Gammon. So I hired them. We got involved with it. This was back before laws had changed. But in the right of redemption period, that is something that is giving to the owner. Now, if that owner gives that right of redemption back to the bank has the rights to redeem. If they don't, the owner can use that right of redemption. Here's another thing you got to be careful about, is that investors will go buy that right of redemption from the owner, let you buy it, let you go do the work, and then come try to redeem. That's what happened to me.
Really?
That's what I had. A snaky investor buy the redemption off of the seller. I went in and did all the remodel work. They came back and tried to redeem. So here's how it works. Let's say the foreclosure was $80,000, okay, and let's say I bought it for $90,000. Well, they can redeem for the 80, which means I'm out 10 grand. So rule of thumb is never pay more than what the foreclosed amount is, so that you're always safe. But before they changed the rule, you could not get reimbursed for expenses that were not classified as reasonable improvements. So
And they have to be completed.
And they have to be completed.
They can't be like in
the
process, which
right.
is crazy.
Which, if you have granite, that's not a reasonable improvement. They don't classify that as reasonable. If you redo floors, that's not classified as a reasonable improvement, because you say, well, I did engineer. Well, you could put carpet. So they can offset their pricing by what they feel is reasonable. So you can lose. So, well, I had to go into battle with this. We got the attorney involved. Needless to say, we won, because there's some loopholes in this that, they have to respond in so many days. And
that's what happened with us.
Yeah, and they didn't. So we sent a letter back saying, hey, thanks for making us aware. You've now, ran your statute to
your period is
it's
elapsed or
yeah.
expired.
So we ended up winning. But now some new laws have changed. And so now it is that your improvements have to be included now. So
that's good.
Yeah. So, and I think that was passed. Steve Payne, one of the guys I work with, he had informed me of that about, I don't know if it was a year ago or 2 years ago, something. So, which makes it better. But the point is I didn't want people confused about what right of redemption is. So if you're going to buy a foreclosure, my rule of thumb is this: if you're buying it from a bank, buy it for less than the foreclosed amount, so you're safe. If you're buying it directly from a homeowner, get them to sign over the right of redemption to you, so they can't sneak back around you or sell it to another.
I felt like I wanted to give them a stereo moment there when I was saying exactly what you were saying at the same time. We really emphasized that. Make sure you sign over the right of redemption.
So that was actually a good learning lesson.
Oh, well, it was. And the thing about it is, and this is where I'm at today, which is where we're about to go. But today, I've spent the last 2 years developing a real estate company, and have kind of, in fact, the flip that I'm currently doing is the first one I've done in about 2 years, because you can't be a slave to two masters. And when you create a new company that is growing in the way that we are, it takes a lot of
I need
a lot of
take your
time.
advice on that.
Yeah, you cannot be a slave to two masters. You
I
can't
think
have
I
two
am
girlfriends.
to
You
like
can't.
9 masters.
I mean, it's something I told I coached baseball forever. I told my athletes all the time, you can't date two women. Baseball is one girlfriend. Yeah. Where does the other one fit? Right? Yeah. You cannot be a slave to two masters. Right. And so that I had a client that has become a really good friend, who I didn't know from Adam's house cat. Yep. Call me at 11:30 at night off of Zillow, and end up buying a house, and flew down, met one time, and then he right before he left, he sent me an email and said, hey, I'm coming to your office. We need to go see this house so we can make money. Now, mind you, flipping was on my radar screen. I was about ready to get started, but I hadn't just jumped back on that horse. I hadn't had time. Literally, this guy and I got in my truck, rode to the house, and a week and a half later, I closed on the property.
You're in the deal.
We're in the deal. And so
let's talk about this deal.
Okay.
This is in Athens?
It is. It's on Cagle Road, just north of the city.
Okay.
So,
and you ran into an unforeseen challenge, which is a good advice for everyone to hear this, because this is not something you would have been able to see or witness going out and inspecting the property.
No, so we bought, the property wanted $55 for it. Mm-hmm. We offered them $30.
Okay.
They came back at like $40, and I was like, look, I gave you what it's worth, maybe a little more than that.
Right. And
I'm buying it as is. If you want me to come up $1, we're gonna have an inspection period. They're like, we'll take it. We'll take it. Done deal, right? So I didn't think it was $32.5. So we bought the house summertime. nice and warm.
Yep.
Dry.
Dry.
Hot. Walked through the house, crawled in the car. I mean, we did everything we could visually inspect. And so we get in there and we start demo. Now, this is a full-blown, our plan was 32.5 in, 55 rehab.
Okay, so you're down to the studs.
I mean, in a lot of cases, rebuilding. We cut floor joist out to the point where there was no floor joist. I mean, we had to rebuild from the floor up in a lot of places. But again, as we're starting in this process, the seasons are changing.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, we have December, which is the wettest month on record.
Yep.
And my contractor calls me. He's like, hey, man, you might want to ride over here.
Oh, that's the worst call.
I'm like,
when they say you might want to come over here,
like I don't need to come unless I really need to come, right? And so we get over because it was about time to start with HVAC, new ducting and all that.
Under the house.
Yeah. Well, you'd have needed a canoe.
Ooh. So explain to them what happened.
We still to this, I still don't know.
Well, the water
is coming from the ground because we had plastic put down. We had not encapsulated, but we had new plastic put down, and all the water is under the plastic.
Yeah.
It's under the plastic.
Yeah.
So it's coming from the ground.
Right.
There's no leak. There's no. It's groundwater.
Yeah.
And so it's become a challenge that.
Because when you bought it, it was dry.
It was dry.
You
it was
could
bone
drive
dry.
on it,
Bone
the ground,
dry.
everything.
Exactly.
As the water came through, it's not like there was this huge flood zone coming down. It was just, it started to either
the water table
started to rise, or B, it would not sink down, so it just sat.
And it gets saturated.
Yep.
There's a point at which material cannot absorb anything else.
And so was it an inch, 2 inch, 3 inch? I mean, what was it? More?
I mean, how many inches of water they say you could drown in?
An inch.
Yeah. So it was more than that. But at the end of the day, it's still something that it's been so wet the whole time. We haven't been able to get under there and diagnose it. So we've had some guys go over and look, and it's going to be as simple as a French drain system and a sump pump.
Gotcha.
But it's
like up in the north. You got to put a sump pump under the house, run some French drains out, get the water out of
the crawl space, and it's going to be just fine.
Yeah.
And it's going to be done correctly, and it'll pass inspection, and it'll be disclosed.
But
and
ultimately, the tip here
is set me back time.
Yeah.
A lot of time.
How much is it going to set you back though when you calculate the cost to do the French drain and the sump pump plus time?
1,500? No.
15 grand.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But it's not the first time I've done this.
Yeah, right.
And
we take our hits and keep on.
Well, not only that, if you remember my numbers, 32 and a half and 55. There's a lot of meat on that bone at 1,400 square feet.
So you're 87.5 into it.
It's gonna list it
plus the 15, right?
List at 129
plus the 15 extra. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So you're talking 8, 9, 10. So it's listing for what?
129.
So you're looking skinny, huh?
Yeah, we're looking skinny. That
is the 55 including the sump pump?
Part of it.
Okay.
So
gotcha.
my minimum margins are $20,000.
Gotcha.
If I can't do 20 on a flip, I won't do it.
I'm with you.
And so we're going.
Leaves you room for oopses.
Well, that's why we started at 40.
Yep.
And ended up with some oopses and closing costs and yada yada yada, and we're still going to make our 20. And so at the end of the day, the lesson is more planning for what we would call unknown, but it's known. Something is going to happen.
Correct. But here's the thing I want you to really shed light on, because here, I love rehabbing. I'm like you. I love rehabbing.
Oh, it's so much fun.
I believe that the most risk you'll ever be in rehabbing is if you're doing one rehab at a time. When you can do 2 and 3 at a time, it offsets any losses that you might create in one, and it's just less risk. But the other side of rehabbing is this, is that you have to have the understanding and the mindset that sometimes things do pop up, and it's not the end of the world. And so when that popped up, I'm sure you're like, oh, geez, I got to go look at this. But once you identified the problem, what was the mindset that you went into this to stay calm, maybe move forward? Do you, when something like this arises, do you move into execution mode? Like, all right, step 1, I got to figure out the problem. Step 2, I got to get somebody out here to look at it. Step 3, or do you go into, oh my gosh.
Well, yeah. Well, the thing about it is, like, it was an unknown.
Yeah.
But it wasn't an unknown. Like, I expect something bad
right.
to happen every time.
Plan for the worst,
That's
expect
right.
the best.
That's right. So as it unfolded, and as we started to realize there was a problem, and as it rained for an entire month,
Right.
it's like, well, I literally can't do anything until it stops raining.
Until it stops raining.
So I'm going to get the house completely done.
Everything above
Everything
water.
is done. Get pictures taken, I mean, get it ready to list.
Yep.
Get the staging moved in.
Yep.
All of those things.
Just move forward with the project.
Move forward with the project as if it's ready to go, and then as soon as I can get there, fix that, HVAC goes in, I sell the house. And so for me, it was just a matter of, okay, it's going to cost me some time.
Yep.
And it's going to cost me some money. I'm still going to make my minimum margin.
Yep.
It still satisfies the algorithm, right?
Yep.
If I can continue to make these margins every time. And we were vetting out a system and a new contractor, and there were a lot of, we knew this was guinea pig for our team, right? We built a team, and then we were testing a team.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like, I would rather have this problem now, so that, one, I can see how my contractors and how my team is going to react.
Right.
Because we're going to have conflict,
That's a good
emergency.
point.
We're going to have all of that.
How does your team handle stress?
Exactly. Right? And so for me, we talk about tuition. You're going to learn one way or the other, right?
Yeah,
this was just a lesson.
Yep.
There was a lesson that I was willing to pay for, that I'd planned on paying for.
Yep.
And
well, I mean, at 87, 88 all in, you're still going to make close to 20,000 on this.
Yeah,
deal.
we will clear 20,000 on the deal one way or the other.
Well, and also because you listed, so you saved there too.
I saved the realtor fees.
Yeah, that's true too. I always add those in because I hand it off and say, look, I'm going to go over here and do something else.
That's right. No, and that's and that's the cost, and we paid cash for the property, so there's no debt service.
Right.
There's none of that.
Yep.
I mean,
so you've got extra in there.
I mean, it's not a huge deal, but it could have been.
Right.
And the biggest mistake I see flippers make is when they encounter these problems, and they will.
Yeah.
It's panic mode.
I know,
it's
right?
shutdown mode.
It's like, I can't do this.
It's
this
bury my head in the
worth it.
sand.
Yes.
I'll never do this again.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well,
good.
And look,
good.
And
More
I'm
for
a
me.
fan of all these TV shows. I think it creates awareness that other people can go do this. But what I'm not a fan of is the ones that watch those shows and then they go, I'm just going to go do it, and they don't get educated. They don't learn what's going on. They don't get a coach or a mentor. They don't get training. And then they run out, and then they try to do this. And like you just said, something goes not the way they planned, and now they run and stick their head in a hole. They don't know what to do. They give up on the project, and they go back to their job.
Yeah, they're like, well, I tried it.
I tried it.
It wasn't for me.
It wasn't, yeah, right.
Hey, but I gave her my best go.
Oh, that's too hard,
I don't know. I don't know if it's, I made poor decisions coming up throughout my life that put me in a lot of situations that I had to fight my way out of.
Yeah.
And so I'm not.
And you had to manage stress.
When you tell me we have a problem, it's like, great. What's our solution? Like, how do we fix it? Because we're going to have them. It's going to happen on a regular basis.
That's funny. I was just sharing this with somebody in the office today. We were talking about creating clarity and knowing where we're going. And you'll never find clarity or never be able to see where you're going if you're constantly allowing stress to block you. Right?
Forest in the trees.
Yeah, it's like all you're seeing is what's going wrong, but you're not able to push that to the side to see all the things that could be going right for yourself and how to get better at what you're doing. And that goes back to that, right? Like handling stress in a way that doesn't allow it to consume you.
Well, it can't.
Yes,
if it does, if that's the type of person that you are, and there's no problem, I mean, those people are out there, it would probably be best to stick with a job with an 8 to 5 that's predictable, reliable, manageable.
And this is the other side of that. Even people in those situations can allow stress to conflict, right? But let me ask you this. I don't want to keep burning. We can talk for hours, man. Let me ask you this. What's a piece of advice? If somebody's watching this and they've never done a real estate deal before, they're looking at getting into real estate, what's something that you would say to somebody that might be watching this for the first time and saying, hey, man, this all sounds good, but you guys are talking about some bad things? Well, first off, bad things do happen. It's not that the bad thing doesn't happen, it's how you handle it.
Correct.
But what would you give that person? Like if they said, Zach, what's something I need to do to be a better investor? What would you say to them?
I would say that if you're not in real estate, find a trusted agent who you want to work with on a regular basis that is knowledgeable in the area. That's the other thing, area. Pick an area,
Yep.
an area that you know. I only flip in a certain area for a reason.
Right.
I know that area.
You
Now,
know it.
I can find someone that knows another area and move to that area, but for what I know, I stay there. But my advice to you would be find a professional in the real estate industry who can demonstrate competency and knowledge about the area, and that can come to you, because you make and lose your money when you enter and your prediction on your exit.
And
those two numbers.
And the
managing in between is huge.
right.
But if a good contractor can make a lot of that work. But as the investor, you make and lose your money buying and prediction of exit.
Correct.
And so that's where a real estate professional in a market like ours, it changes monthly.
Oh, I know.
It's so hot right now that numbers are doing this by the month.
Well, you're right. We just did a market overview.
We did too on our show Friday.
Yeah, and from we did Limestone, Morgan, and Madison County, and our numbers from December to January are down. From solds, volume amount, listings, active inventory went up. But there again, that's not something to run and be scared of, because we got to see what happens in February, right? Now, if it drops in February and drops in March, well, okay, we need to be worried.
But it's not.
But it's not going to.
And that's why I tell people all the time, and another piece of advice, invest in a sound market.
Yes.
Invest in a stable market. The beauty of North Alabama is, regardless of what happens on a national scale or a global economic scale, we are insulated for 5 years.
Right.
We've got 5 years of doing whatever we want to do because the market's going to keep doing this until it does this, and it'll steady out, and then it'll start to go the down cycle.
And even when it starts to go down, guys, be clear, you can still make money in that. You just have to shift a little bit, calculate a little longer hold times, but you can. I've invested in all of them.
Well, it's a cycle.
That's right.
And so here's my philosophy. I flip in the bull market like it is right now. And I buy and hold in the other market. And then guess what? I rent that joker out until the bull comes back, and I ride that rhino all the way to the top.
That's
and guess what? I
and
sell the property.
It,
I flip it again, and I wait for the market to come back around.
I've been doing the same thing, man.
I mean, it's not rocket science.
Yeah, it's like I was talking to a friend yesterday, and he was like, well, what should I be doing right now? And I said, look,
something.
You need to be flipping right now. Because when this market turns, we don't know when, 3, 4, 5 years from now, prices are all going to go back down. And then you need to be buying as much cash flow as possible. And that's when you're going to get the cheapest return. So, well, Zach, look, man, it's been great.
Man, I enjoy it every time.
That's right.
Appreciate you having me on, man. I'm excited to be a part of the RIA there in Athens.
I'm excited for the new location and getting all that worked out for March. So I think that's going to be great.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
So Zach, if they want to find you or know how to get a hold of you, maybe somebody's watching this and they want to become a real estate agent. And
they want to grow a sweet beard.
Or they want to grow a beard, or they want to loan you a bunch of money. Where would they find you at?
You could go to thebeardedrealtor.net. You could go to revolve.com, or you could call me at 256-724-0695. I'd love to do anything I can to help you. If you just want to talk, if you're an investor that just has some questions, I know Zach will take a call. I'll take a call. We love working with people that want to work.
Absolutely.
And so
it's all about growing network. Like our RIA, we're all about our mission statement at the RIA is connect, learn, and grow. Connect with like-minded people, learn about what you're doing, and then grow that business.
That sounds like something. If that doesn't fire you up, your wood's wet.
Hey guys, this is Zach, and we're glad you joined us today on Interview with an Expert. I hope you got a lot of value out of this. Listen, if you haven't been out to the Madison County RIA, come out and join us. We have meetings every single month that you probably want to check out, from all different types of things, from wholesaling to buy and holds to fix and flips to asset protection to landlord laws. Check us out. You can go to alabamariaevents.com and see everything we've got. Zach Childers, I'll see you on the flip side.
Thanks, guys.